Okay, good evening. I think we are on air. Just want to do a quick check, please. I would request my esteemed panelists to mute themselves. Vaishnavi,
Yes, sir.
are we live? Are we there with
Yes,
students?
yes,
Great,
yes.
great.
I hope we are all audible and visible. So if you could just type a yes on the chat box, everyone.
Yeah, we are good to go. Let's start.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on economics. My name is Vaishnavi. I'm a career specialist with Mindler. So we'll quickly start off with introducing our three panelists. So the first one we have is Mr. Parikshit Dhanda, who's a professionally trained from Harvard University. Parikshit is one of the leading life coach, motivational speaker, and career coaches in the country. With over 20 years of experience, he has mentored and trained more than 2 million students across domains and regions. Understanding students' aspirations along with their aptitude and motivating them to achieve excellence has kept him busy for more than 2 decades. With Mr. Parikshit Khanna, we also have Mr. Sudarshan Ramaswamy, Professor, Dean, Executive Director, Center for Global Governance and Policy. Professor Ramaswamy has had distinguished careers in the domain of research, development, programming, and governance. He has obtained his master's degree in economics from the Delhi School of Economics and has done his MPhil from Oxford University. In 1991, he joined the UNDP in India as senior economist and assistant representative for governance and public policy. In 2012, he joined the OP Jindal Global University as the founding dean of the Jindal Global Government and Public Policy. He has an impressive track record of publications comprising books, articles, and UN policy reports reflecting his interdisciplinary research, teaching, and policy experience in the development programs, human development, law, governance, institutions, and policy. And the third panelist which we have is Mr. Abhik Barua, Chief Economist and EVP, formerly Chief Economist for ABN AMRO Bank and India Economist for Merrill Lynch. Member group of economists consulted by the RBI on monetary policy and finance minister on budget. He is also the member of working group on 11th five-year plan, standing committee member of RBI industry monitoring group and national committee on economic affairs, CII columnist for ET and business standards. He is educated from Delhi School of Economics and University of Maryland, USA. I welcome all the three panelists. Floor is over to you, Parikshit sir.
Good evening. Good evening, Professor Sudarshan. Good evening, Mr. Abhik. If you allow me, as you've already been courteous enough, I can call you Sudarshan and Abhik. Thank you so much. Dear students and parents and teachers, community and the counselors, I know we are breaking record right now as far as the number of people watching us and listening to us. Let me tell you, we have a very distinguished guest and no better than them to discuss a topic called economics. By the way, I'm actually laughing inside, okay? Because I was a commerce with math student and the most difficult topic for me in life used to be economics. And wow, here I'm discussing about economics with esteemed panelists, right? Okay, let's look at what is economics, okay? Now, I'm not going to be getting into definitions and so on. Please understand, economics happens to be one of the distinguished subjects, right? Vaishnavi, I won't be using the PPT, okay? You can just take it off, right? I'd just like to talk straight. So one is when you talk about, just like in this country, when there is a craze for physics, chemistry, and maths. Please understand, when you talk about science, you keep economics right up there as a subject. Now, why is economics so important? Tell me, as a government, as a society, as a household, individual, institutions, economics impacts us in every way, whether it's non-banking financial institutions, whether it's private banks, whether it's public sector, whether it's international institutions, whether it's World Bank, Asian Development Bank, whether it's RBI, whether it's microeconomics, whether it's macroeconomics, whether it's public policy, you name anything in the world, whether it's law, it's international relations, public, economics impacts every domain. Can I ask you one thing? Okay, now tell me, students, and I would love to have an answer, even if few of you can answer, which university happens to be the top 3 universities? Okay, let's talk about top 3 universities in the world for economics. Okay, let's see how many of you can answer. Top 3 universities in the world for economics. Top 3. All right. Or which university you would find really it's in the top 3? Let's see how many of you can answer. Okay, Harvard, you got it. MIT, I wanted you to name MIT. Now MIT, please understand, for many of us, absolutely, we when we talk about the top 10, top 15, you would talk about Yale, you would talk about Oxford, Cambridge. So Harvard, Stanford, and MIT. Why I'm talking about MIT? MIT is Massachusetts Institute of Technology. The first thing about MIT that comes to your mind is technology. But MIT is also the world's top 3 for economics. When we talk about economics, we also talk about our IITs. Okay, just like we have distinguished guests from O.P. Jindal, BML Munjal, in the same breath, like you're talking about Delhi University, Delhi School of Economics, JNU, and other tremendous institutions in the country. We talk about IITs. Now, they were bitten by this bug called economics, okay? Many years back, but today you have brilliant programs at IIT Delhi, Kanpur, Kharagpur, Mumbai for bachelor's as well as master programs in economics. Now, when you talk about economics, what do you study? You basically look at macro, micro, you look at econometrics, you also look at international economics, whether it's developmental economics, then you do qualitative, quantitative methods, you study about statistics, maths, so on. Now there is another question that comes to students' mind, which of course our dear guests would love to answer, is what is maths relation with economics? Okay, because a lot of students come back to us, I haven't taken maths at that level. So will it make sense for me to do economics? Will I be able to do BA in economics or BSc in economics? Economics also comes into many factors, like many other courses. Like, for example, you have BA economics, you have BSc economics, you have something called business economics, right? Along with your BComs and eco, and then you have major minor combination. You also have eco with double major, triple major. So you have economics in variety of ways. Do you get stable careers after economics? A student asked me one day, and I was like, dude, what are you asking me? After economics, right from research to, which is whether to work with think tanks or to work with policy or planning or in fact the coveted services called Indian Economic Service, whether it's private sector, public sector, sky is the limit for this program. I can go on and talk about economics. Okay, why? Because it's not that it's a subject which is very close to my heart. That's why I'm talking. It's because you cannot run away from this topic. It is kind of, it affects us in millions of ways, right? A lot of you would know, I don't know if you know, but Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Yama. So Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, they all were economics graduates. And of course, we can talk about Hewlett Packard, eBay, all of them did, all of them were economics graduates, right? So this is like, I would just want to talk about, I just wanted to set the tone before we hear from our guests. So Professor Sudarshan, what is your take on economics, please? Are you muted? Are you? No, we can't hear you. Okay.
You can hear me now.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I agree with what you said about the important significance of economics. But one of the things to remember about this subject, it's conventionally attributed beginnings of economics is conventionally attributed to Adam Smith, who wrote a book called The Wealth of Nations and What Causes them to acquire wealth. But Adam Smith, in his time, there was no discipline called economics. Adam Smith would have described himself as a natural philosopher. And he also wrote another important book called The Theory of Moral Sentiments, which is about philosophy. But the insights that Adam Smith had about the functioning of the world, why is it that the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker all are able to produce whatever they do in more or less exactly the quantities in which people want them, as if there was some invisible hand guiding them, was a very important insight. And subsequently, the discipline evolved, and we've understood some crucial elements. I mean, one of the wonderful things about economics is insights that it offers, which once it's offered, it seems like very obvious. But until it's offered, it wasn't very obvious or very well known. One of that, of course, is the importance of what economists call the margin. If you, in a perfectly competitive market, to maximize profits, you would make sure that the price at which you sell the commodity that you're making is equal to its marginal cost. That will maximize profit. Now, this idea of the margin is very important. It comes crucially everywhere. And that's a key insight that was developed by Alfred Marshall, another economist in the lineage of the classical economists. And then you had David Ricardo talk about another insight, which we call comparative advantage. To simply explain that, I can teach economics, but I'm also very good, since I learned shorthand and typing, I can type at about 45 words per minute. So should I be spending my time typing notes, or should I leave it to my secretary, who can only type at 35 words per minute? Comparative advantage means that there's greater value in me teaching the subject, even though I have to rely on someone who is not as good as me in producing a service like, say, typing. So these are crucial insights. David Ricardo produced it. So you had a group of economists who are, at that time when the subject was not called as such, who provided these insights like margin, comparative advantage. And economics has evolved. And one of the other major contributions in the subject has been the discovery of the elaboration of game theory. Many of the students that we are speaking to would have seen a film on John Nash called The Beautiful Mind. And John Nash, in a way, is the founder of game theory. And a lot of what passes for what used to be called microeconomics, studying individual and firm behavior, is now grasped under game theory. So the point I'm trying to make is it's a growing discipline. And one of the exciting things that's happening with economics is that, everybody asked, why is it that no economists predicted the 2008 financial crisis? Well, it's not that Raghuram Rajan, our own economist who was with the finance ministry and the RBI, had warned that conditions were such that a financial crisis of that kind might happen. But then it was in a large book that he wrote, and people didn't take notice of it. But after that, it's made all economists around the world sit up and say, what is our discipline all about? Why is it that such a major thing could happen, and we as an entire community of economists seem to have missed it? Now, this property in this discipline of questioning itself and then trying to make changes. See, because any subject we study, we look to two things. One is to explain how the world is or why things are the way they are. And the other is to try and anticipate or predict what might happen. So there were jokes after 2008 when people said that the predictive ability of economists has given astrologers a very good name. The point about this is that the subject, when studying the subject, and as we try to teach the subject, we need to be very clear what is it most useful for and what are its limits. What cannot you expect economics to do? I'll just end this preliminary statement.
Hello. Oh, we come back. So I think let's quickly get rolling. Mr. Bheek, would you just want to come in quickly to tell us about where do you see the future of economics or the change? Quick, this thing from you. Are you muted? Hello? No, we can't. We can't hear. I can't
Uh,
hear.
is this better?
Yes, we're back.
All right, all
We're
right.
back.
Sorry about that. I mean, some kind of technical glitch. But I just wanted to sort of talk about, since we're talking to a bunch of students who are looking at economics as a possible career, I just wanted to. Hello, is this better?
Much better.
Okay.
Much better.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, as I said, since we're talking to a bunch of students who might be interested, we are trying to get them interested in economics as a career. I just wanted to sort of pick up on this, on the issue of the diverse areas in which economics can be applied in order to kind of make a pitch for the subject. So, let me ask some questions. Are you interested in making money? Right. If you are, you should be studying economics. Are you interested in giving away money in a systematic manner? Right. Then you should be studying economics. Are you interested in how why the rupee goes up one day, goes down the other? Are you interested in whether the Infosec stock price is going to go up, um, or go down in the next few months? I think the basis of economics, as Sudarshan said, does not offer pat answers, right? It's not unlike physical science where you just you combine two molecules and you get something else. It doesn't offer pat answers, but I think the interesting bit is that it leaves you with a broad range of analytical tools which you can use in diverse areas of work. And it is because of this broad based sort of analytical flexibility that the subject offers that the subject is very coveted among employers, right? The subject is coveted among employers even when they're taking fresh graduates. So in a wide range of areas, I come from the world of banking and I'm speaking partly as an employer. So in banking, finance, management consulting, and so forth. And then if you want to get into, say, a corporate career, if you want to do, say, and you might need to do an MBA or want to do an MBA, then again, I think economics among business schools and recruiters in business schools is possibly top of the range as far as they want to sort of get people on board. In India, typically the business schools are overcrowded with engineering students, and I think there is a conscious effort to bring about diversity and diversification. And of the lot of students who apply from different disciplines, again, economics is, I think, put number one on the list simply because of this broad sort of range of tools that it leaves you with, and it can help you answer a lot of questions which come from different domains. And again, you might want to be a professional economist. I'm a professional economist. I work for a bank. You might have aspirations if you want to do public policy. You want to have an impact on society through helping governments, do work in areas like health, sanitation, whatever. I mean, you have the World Bank kind of, the multilateral kind of route. If you want to be, as I said, a trader in an investment bank, your basic knowledge of economics is going to stand you in good stead. So I think it's sort of like it's top of the pops as far as subjects are concerned, in terms of the analytical diversity it offers. And you can easily sort of mix and match your skills in economics with a whole bunch of things and do a wide range of professional activities. So it's something that you should consider very seriously.
Great. Thank you so much. Students, so as when Professor Sudarshan was talking about, he talked about how he kind of gave us an idea about the historical as to how economics has evolved. By the way, I would request you to study also another area, and of course, Avik has been kind enough to ask you straight away. You want to make money? Look at economics, okay? And of course, talking about various future opportunities for young graduates, and of course later on it can be whether it can be masters in economics or PhD or an MBA or whatever other degrees that we can think about. The one request that I would like to make is what kind of students are required to do this, okay? What are few essential qualities or characteristics that you could have? I'm not saying you should have all of them, but you should. One is, of course, the ability to research. Okay, that's very important in this discipline. All right. The other ability is to be aware. Like, for example, why is this happening? Why is dollar? Why is stock exchange? Like, for example, day before, Dow tanked about 1800. Now, when Dow tanked, there was already a thing that Indian market is also going to slide. We went down about 1100, but then, of course, what a recovery, right? So then about the oil crisis, about economic, about micro, macro, so many. So it's your ability to kind of stay relevant, read, research, and of course your using qualitative and quantitative analysis. Okay, your ability to sieve through data. Okay, that's very, very important here. Then when we are talking about disciplines which are interactive, for example, insurance sector, as Abhi talked about the banking sector, right? He himself happens to be an economist. So my question to both our esteemed guests is, because I can see a lot of them asking, Vaishnavi, then I'm handing it over to you, okay, to ask them further. How important is this maths? What is the relationship of maths? If you could just kind of maybe one minute each, if you could talk about. Professor Sudarshan, let's start with you. If you could just give us a quick idea about maths.
I think we can't hear you.
No, we can. I'm able to hear him. Yes, I can hear you.
So I don't think people can hear him. Even I can't. And
one second. I can hear him. 1 second. Abhi, can you hear Professor Sudarshan? Can you?
I can't. I'm afraid.
You can't. 1 second.
I can't.
Professor Sudarshan, can you say something, please? Okay. Okay. Students,
Okay.
can you hear him?
Yeah. No, they also cannot. So I'll just request Professor Sudarshan to just refresh once. That should work because that works for us. So sir, if you could just click on the
Refresh.
refresh button.
Refresh button. If you could refresh the browser, refresh. Okay. All
So
right.
till then, we can probably
We can continue with Mr. Abhik. Abhik, if you could continue, please.
Yeah, sure. I think you were asking about the relevance of mathematics in economics. Mathematics is a very important tool used by economists because economists like to model things. They may, for instance, if you are trying to figure out what is going to happen to oil prices going forward, so you need to get a sense of where demand for oil is headed and the supply of oil is headed, right? And then supply and demand interact in some fashion in order to produce a price. So all this is part of a, instead of having a narrative on this, you can actually try and quantify the demand, quantify the supply, and then arrive at a price at which demand meets supply. So this is an application. So you do this with the help of simple mathematical tools. But I don't think there is any reason to get unnecessarily intimidated by the fact that there is some degree or a considerable degree of mathematics and economics. For instance, at the university where I'm visiting faculty, BML in Munjal University, you you can apply and for the program without a formal mathematics training, without formal mathematics training at your +2 level, but you will have to go through a mathematics boot camp by which sort of we escalate your skills to a level at which you will be able to handle the kind of mathematics that is needed in economics. I think what you need to do is come with a healthy level of curiosity about certain things. That is important. Don't get completely intimidated by the fact that yes, there is an application of mathematics in the area that can be taught. Uh, but bear in mind that if you really detest mathematics, and every sort of test in mathematics gives you either migraines or nightmares, you might want to have second thoughts about it. But certainly, it doesn't require you to be an ace mathematician, or even as in the case of my university, you don't even need to have a mathematics sort of as a subject at your +2 levels. It can be all you need to have is an open and analytical mind. I think both are important.
Great, great. Thank you so much. Professor Sudarshan, over to you.
Yeah, well, I agree with what Abhik just said. Maths in economics is basically a language. It's, one of the wonderful books that Amartya Sen wrote, his first book, which is his PhD, and he was my teacher for some time, has got chapters where it's very simple, elegant English, and then a small appendix to each chapter of 2-3 pages, which says the same thing with mathematical equations, which just goes to show that for all of the key ideas of economics, maths is only a language. So you're not really becoming a mathematician. And because people are using that language, so the modern literature in economics largely uses maths to make its points. If you need to be able to understand that, you need some basic mathematics. But this is, as Abhik said, something that we can teach you. You don't have to have done maths before. And it's a sort of very basic mathematics, set theory, some calculus, matrix algebra. And in econometrics, some modalities of doing regression statistics. So it's not frightening. And if somebody has a phobia about maths, we'll do our best to get you over it. We also conduct, whenever anybody says they want to join our economics program, we begin to send them some exercises in maths and stats just to make them feel comfortable with it, so that they don't have this phobia. And because that can block your mind. We don't want that, and it can be easily overcome. And once you realize how elegant it is to use an equation instead of writing 2 paragraphs, people take to it very nicely. So the bottom line is, it is like learning a language. Some people get it very easily, learn languages very fast. Some people need to work a little bit at it, but you can understand economics and be a good economist without necessarily becoming a great mathematician or being very sophisticated in the maths. All that the maths you need is maths for literacy in the subject, because modern day economists, when they publish articles and journals and write books, use the maths, and you need to be able to understand that language.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Sudarshan and Mr. Beek. Students, that's very comforting, because let me assure you, if this question had come to me, say about 15 years back, the esteemed panelist would have answered in a slightly different manner. Okay, why? Because conventionally, when you go to these universities, like for example Delhi University, the first thing is, you don't have maths, baby, I'm sorry, not invited. All right, so therefore it's thankful to the modern age universities. I call these universities the modern age universities, where interdisciplinary understanding and also the acceptability is increasing. So it's very comforting when they say, if you have an issue with maths, the university can give you a foundation program, can help you, take care of your phobias. And if in case if it's you get a migraine attack and so on, then we'll see what else to be done. But they are happy to have you even without maths. Great. Vaishnavi, over to you. Let's continue with our questions, please.
Yes. So thank you so much for throwing light on the basic eligibility criteria. And now I think all of us are very clear with respect to mathematics as an eligibility requirement, whether it's there or not. So let's move on to what after economics. So let's say a student has studied a 3-year or a 4-year economics major, economics honors, or whatever related courses. What are the different options we have with respect to maybe pursuing a course after at a master's level, or maybe working at a firm? What are the different options available for students who have done graduation in economics?
Who would you like to go first?
Sir, you can start.
All right. Abik already referred to a number of career options that are open, even to those who have not done advanced economics, that is, who've got the basic degree, say an honors degree in economics, in banking, in finance, in industry, in government, so, or in further studies, of course. But what I'd say, in addition to all the things that he listed, he started by asking the question, do you want to make money? I would ask the question of the students, do you care for other people? Now, if you care for other people, say if you care for people, the migrants who have been affected because of the COVID lockdown, if you're touched by their fate and their predicament, then economics is the subject for you. Because the way out of their misery, the way out of their poverty, the way out of their destitution is in the hands of those who are managing the economy and making policies. And to be able to understand, Gandhi said, if you are ever in doubt, I'll give you a talisman. Think of the vision, envisage the face of the most wretched person you've come across and ask yourself, if what you do will make a difference to that person's life, I can tell you that if you study economics, you would be in a position to make a difference to that person's life. I say this because in our country, this is a major, major problem. Poverty, malnourishment, hunger. And we have a very innovative policy where all corporations are required by law to set aside 2% of their pre-tax profits in what is called corporate social responsibility. The amount of investment that comes through corporate social responsibility is very high. And what does it do? What does it go into? It goes into providing basic services for ordinary people, health, education, and so on. And who do they want to manage these services as their corporate social responsibility activities expand? They want people with a training and a background in economics, because it's all about making judgments as to how to allocate resources that are scarce, how to figure out where you would get the best return for your investment, how to monitor and evaluate projects and programs to make sure that they are cost effective, that they are efficient in an economic sense, that they are effective. In other words, they achieve their objectives. So one of the things a grounding that we provide in our economics program is how to evaluate projects. And one of the serious shortages in our country is in having the number of people with the ability to evaluate a project in a systematic way with some technical skills. A lot of government programs, a lot of corporate programs have a line item that says evaluation. And very often that line item in the budget goes unspent because they can't find the right people to do it. So I invite you to think about it, because if you're thinking about where are the opportunities for jobs, here is one area. You specialize in economics and you learn the elements of how to evaluate a project, how to do some cost benefit analysis. And the number of people in our country capable of doing that has seriously come down relative to the demand for those skills. So that's what I'd say.
Great. Thank you so much. Mr. Abhi,
Yeah, I'm just going to be a little more specific. Although I'm glad that Sudarshan Sudarshan raised the issue of and I did actually mention it after I asked whether they wanted to make money, that do you want to also allocate money systematically. But I think that there are huge social challenges, and as an economist, in diverse capacities, you can be a very influential economic journalist. Someone like T.N. Nainan, for instance, who writes on economic issues, has huge influence in policy. You can do it by working for a think tank and working in a domain of policy which has an impact on the lives of migrants. I have a bunch of friends who are doing fabulous work on Indian labor markets, migration, and so forth. But broadly, what I would say is that there are a range of options open to you, and I think the way things are going, since I work for a company, is that people after their bachelor's degree want to get some work experience. It can be an extension of a project or an internship that you're doing as a part of your undergraduate degree. That is compatible with the BML Munjal program, incidentally. And you can just extend that into, if you impress the company, they would want to sort of take you on full time or on a reasonably long medium term contract, and then you work there and just see what specifically you're interested in. If you want to stick to the area of economics, I think you would need at some stage a top up degree. You might not, and I can think of cases where people with just an undergraduate degree in economics, people who worked with me, are doing very well. But I think the general trend is for to get a top up degree. If you want to go down the path of economics and want to be a professional economist, I think you might have to do a master's or even a PhD if the subject is fascinating enough for you. Or there is this MBA route, where again, as I said, that you are sort of the chosen. You will be the chosen lot, because people are a little tired of having too many engineers around. Um, and one of the things that the undergraduate program, with the undergraduate program, can make a difference, and I think that you know, uh, unlike the older universities, more established and certainly very good quality universities, which are somewhat rigid about their program structure. I think the new universities And I've had the privilege of being visiting faculty at both BML Munjal and OP Jindal, so I can vouch for the the quality and flexibility of both. Is that they would enable you to mix and match. So you are building a skill set right at your undergraduate level, and you don't necessarily have to wait to do a master's degree afterwards to pick up a specific skill. And so, in the context of BML Munjal, for instance, you can combine your BA honors degree with a minor in finance or management, and that is a very good way to get a job. And if the job requires you after 4 or 5 years to do a master's degree, go ahead and do it. But I think an undergraduate degree with the right sort of flexibility and combinations itself fortifying you for a bunch of challenges and opportunities ahead.
Yeah.
Great, great, great. Thank you so much, sir. So now let's understand how exactly economics is being taught in these two universities. So I'll start off with Professor Darshan. I'll ask you a few questions related to the university. I think that should help students understand economics as such. So could you help us with the faculty profile at Jindal Global School? What is the faculty-student ratio?
Vaishnavi, if I could just request before Professor Sudarshan answers, I would request my panelists to be little quick on these because we are very interested in picking up few student questions also at the end of it. Thank you so much. Please continue. Thank you.
All right, very good. The OP Jindal Global University is a social science university. It doesn't have engineering, medicine, what are called the STEM subjects. It has law, business, international affairs, public policy, which is my school, liberal arts and humanities, banking and finance, journalism and communication, art and architecture. Our new school would be environment and sustainability, and another one on a school on psychology and counseling. So the entire university's faculty are all grounded in what you might call the social sciences. And because we started the BA Economics program, having started an MA in public policy. We were the first university to begin a 2-year MA program in public policy. And we understood that in order to have high quality entrance into the MA public policy program, we need to lay foundations in one of the most important of the disciplines that goes into the making of public policy, which is economics. And that's why we started the BA honors in economics, because for the public policy program itself, we had assembled an outstanding group of economists who started the program, including me. I studied in Delhi School of Economics, and then Oxford, and then I was in Cambridge as a research fellow, and I worked as a senior economist in the United Nations Development Program. So my colleague, a senior colleague, is Rajiv Malhotra, who left the Indian Economic Service and joined us. His last was a senior advisor to the former finance minister and former president, Pranab Mukherjee. And so we have an array of faculty who are not just narrow in a silo of economics, because one of the things we've learned about economics now is that you got to understand society. So we have sociologists, we have people with PhDs in politics, we have a range of social science disciplines, and we integrate them in the teaching of economics. So a Nobel laureate in economics said one of the things economists should start doing is to take their nose out of all that data and look around at real people, right? And looking around at real people means to be able to understand sociology, culture, behavior. A new field in economics is behavioral economics, which merges psychology with economics. So our faculty is very, it's there on the website, who's done what, so I won't list that. But what I'd say is our emphasis is on an interdisciplinary approach to the discipline of economics.
Great, great, great. Thank you so much. What about the international exposure? Do students have any sort of international exposure during their graduation program?
Yes, we have a system across the university and in the economics program as well of allowing students to go away for a whole semester to another institution or even for a whole year because we have the flexibility since we are increasingly released from the regulatory requirements of the University Grants Commission as an institution of eminence. We can say we will give credit for 1 year of work in the London School of Economics so that you can get the degree at the London School of Economics and get a degree from our university. In other words, the third year, the students can go away to another university for the entire 2 semesters of that year, or they can go for 1 semester. And we've got, you see it on our website, ties, memoranda of association with multiple institutions. But the ones I'd mentioned that we've sent students to are Indiana University, Queen Mary University in London, to the London School of Economics, to a very good institution in an economics institution in Mexico. We are also members of something called a Public Policy Alliance. And this is in the emerging economies. So we can send our students not just to the traditional ones, but also in the emerging economies, Moscow, Cairo, to Indonesia, Malaysia, and to Brazil and South Africa, the BRICS countries.
Right. All right. Moving to Mr. B. So I was looking at the college university website and I saw a lot of minor major combination with economics. So could you share what are the possible combinations we have at BML Munjal?
So for the BA Economics program, there are essentially we're offering 3 programs. One is just a BA in Economics, where you would stick to subjects that are it's an interdisciplinary course. There would be a lot of courses from the area of social sciences, which you will have to take along with economics, but you are broadly in the field of economics and the social sciences. The second option is to do a BA Economics honors with a minor in finance. And BML Munjal has established itself as one of the leading private business schools in the country. So you have large resources in the finance domain. So that is one combination that you can take, and that sort of fast tracks you into things like banking, investment banking, finance, and so forth. And then the third possible major minor combination, economics, of course, remains your major, is with management. And this, again, as I said, the BML Munjal has a very established business school now and large resources in management teaching. So if you're interested in things like management consulting or getting into a strategy function for a company, this would be, and you want to understand the internal workings of the firm, that's the major minor combination that you take. So it's BA honors with economics with management as your minor. So there essentially there are 3 programs involved. Of course, there's considerable overlap. The core courses and the major courses would be largely common. And then you have the option of either sticking to a social sciences track, which is the core track, or combining it with these 2 minors.
Okay, all right, okay. And what are the different industry exposures students have during their undergraduation course?
As you know, this is the first. This will be the first batch of students that the university will be taking in.
Okay.
But what I can talk about is the industry experience that business school students have had, both from the undergraduate and the graduate program, and also from, unlike OP Jindal, this is a sort of a tech and science heavy school. So we have Munjal has a very very active engineering faculty, the hard sciences, the natural sciences, and so forth. in industry experience, I just don't want to sort of list companies here, but companies across the board, the top 500 companies, including I taught a course there, and some people actually rejected offers from the bigger companies and went out to work with startups, with small analytics firms, simply because they felt that they would get to participate, feel empowered right from the beginning. So there is a large sort of ecosystem of companies where you can either intern with or look forward to a job with. There's a very well designed and streamlined placement procedure. So yeah, you have access to both the big and the small.
Right, right, right. And if you could just help us with the admission process, specifically for economics.
I think it's the website is up. I'm not going to spend too much time on the admission process. Everything is given there. I think one of the sort of the sticking points was the eligibility issue, and mathematics tends to be a source of concern. I've addressed that. The rest of it, I
Right.
mean, it's an online admission process and so forth, which will be followed by an interview. So I don't. You just go to the website, please.
Right, right, right. And I think I'll just pick one question, and this is addressed to both of you. There was a question about I'm a science student with economics. Does that have a different kind of impact with respect to getting admission? So basically, there are courses like BSc in economics and BA in economics. So if you look at the practical application, is there any difference with respect to the professional opportunities for these students? So I think again,
Can you hear me now?
yes,
No, I think anyone with a sort of a science major leaving high school is in a very strong position to do economics. We'd prioritize people with that. For one thing, we would know that they won't have too many anxieties and phobias about the very little mathematics that's to be used. And much of economics these days, follows the methods or the rigor of the natural sciences. So a grounding in science is a great advantage to studying of economics. And there's been and some economists have been described as having what's called physics envy. So science and economics go very well together. So that's fine. That's the sort of thing where when we have to decide upon merit and allocation of scholarships, some of the things we would look at is this. A meritorious student in our view is someone who can, hit the ground running, do our course, and we are confident they do very well. And so we have a policy of allocating 10% of the fee income, the total fee income of the university, to be distributed in scholarships, and a large number of our students do get not the 100% waiver. The 100% waiver is given only to students from Haryana domicile. That's part of a statutory requirement. That may change when we become an institution of eminence formally, but right now we give scholarships ranging from 50 to 75% of the fees. And one of the criterion by which we judge that is an interview. And if someone has done science and we don't have to invest a lot of time and energy and effort in bringing their maths up to speed, they would be more deserving of a merit scholarship at the level of entrance. Of course, to keep the scholarship, you have to maintain a certain grade through the 3 years of the program. And on the point about placements, industry linkages, we get our students, we encourage them to use every vacation between the semesters to go and do some work. And we've got a very good office for career services and a long roster of institutions that take our students as interns so that they have some continuing education. And if for some reason some student can't find a good internship, we always fall back on the benefactor of our university, the Jindal Steel and Power Company, which does take a lot of our students and gives them some very good learning as we go along.
Sir, I think we can't hear you. Yeah.
Better? Can you hear me now? All right. I'd like to add, I'm seeing a lot of students ask these questions. When should we apply to OP Jindal or Bin Manjal? When should we do that? Students, my request is, and this is a serious request, okay? Great, we've got distinguished guests. Please understand they are faculty members, okay? They're heads of those departments, okay? Please understand they're not their admission committee people to tell you when to apply, what to do. My request is, the first thing that I would request any student for whatever program you're looking at, you have to first go to the website, understand the curriculum, look at what you're going to be taught, faculty, research, internships, scholarships, and then of course somewhere down the line placement also, okay? But that should not be. So you have to look at industry academia partnership, collaborations, look at this in detail, and then only you'll be able to look at universities and make these important decisions in your life, right? So I would request, yes, if you're a 12th class student, please, you should have done it by now. If you've not, please go ahead right now, look at both the universities, OP Jindal and Munjal University, go and check. And of course, whatever else that you're looking at, please go ahead. Vaishnavi, over to you again.
Yes. So I think I just wanted Mr. Abhik also to throw light on the.
Yeah. Please continue.
On the fact that whether science is necessary, or how is BSc different from BA specifically in economics.
No, I think too much is made of this, the difference between a BSc in economics and a BA in economics. I did a BSc in economics at my undergraduate level from Presidency College, Calcutta. Went on to do my MA from the Delhi School of Economics, where people with BA degrees from St. Stephen College became my classmates. I honestly, I searched and tried very hard to find the difference in structure. I think it's grossly exaggerated. People who sort of say that the BSc program is different from a BA program. And that automatically means that just by calling something a BSc degree does not necessarily mean that you are heavily biasing it towards science students. I've been sort of involved in trying to structure the program at Munjal, and I don't think we have any sort of biases, preconceived biases against a group of people, or or in favor of a particular group of students. Science students have a set of skills. They are strong on the analytical side, better off on the math side. Then you have other students from other backgrounds who have their own skills. And I think the way I would want to sort of, to the extent that I'm involved with the program, the way I would want to run the program is to respect the diversity of the skill sets. And basically, you're putting this bunch together so that they also sort of learn from each other. So I don't think there is any, at least at Munjal, there would be any bias in favor of science students and against the students of commerce degrees or even a humanities degree. If they have, you just have to be, as a student, you just have to ask yourself, am I curious enough about the subject of economics? And the subject of economics is revealing itself to you every day on the television screen or in the newspaper, on newspapers. The Sudarshan talked about the migration problem. Are you seriously interested in going beyond just looking through the first few lines of the news article? Does it bother you? Does it sort of, do you find it an intellectual challenge? Or the fact that the Dow fell 1,800 points and we kind of fell a little and then bounced up spectacularly yesterday? Is that something that you find curious? Would you just watching the CNBC channel give you a headache, or do you sort of watch it for more than 10 seconds? So ask these very fundamental questions of yourself. Don't get too mired in what whether you're a science student, commerce, all these can be. This is why coming to university. You're not come here fully prepared. To be an economist in a matter of months. We are providing the training. We are doing the boot camping for things like mathematics and analytics. But just ask yourself, are you curious? I think that the quality of curiosity that matters, nothing else.
Right.
Yes, sir. Sir, we again lost. We can't hear you, sir.
Sorry. If I could just get our guests to answer a few questions, please. I'll quickly pick up questions which the students are asking us. If you could tell
Yes,
us,
sir.
the both of you, if you are looking at a candidature, a student has applied to you, not from an admission perspective, purely as an academician. If you could tell us what are few things each one of you is looking, from an economics student. Any quick 3-4 things which you are looking for from these
Well,
students?
Abik's already underlined a central quality.
Yes.
Interview all the students. We have a entrance test which has components for analytical ability, comprehension, to be able to write, and so on. But that's only part of the selection process. But when we talk to the student, we are looking for this quality of curiosity, a genuine interest and a curiosity wanting to learn. And once you have that, basically education is all about helping people, teaching them how to learn. Learning is really lifelong. And so you can make out a student who has that quality of curiosity, which Abik underlined. Other than that, whatever combination of subjects you may have done, or how well you may have done, because all this, grades and marks, you see, I've always felt it ironic that we have an examination system in schools which makes students extremely competitive. And education is made very competitive. Am I getting a higher grade? Is it 93 percentile, 94? And then when you come into the real world, what you are expected to do is to work in a team. Much of the good things that the world does is accomplished by teamwork, not by individual advancement and competitiveness. So we don't place that much of a weight on your grades. We talk to the students, and then once we find that this student is got this genuine curiosity and will learn and grow, then the person is in.
Great. Mr. Beek, would you like to say a sentence on that, or you already covered it enough?
I think I've covered it enough, and so I would just like to echo Sudarshan.
Great. If I could just ask you one question again, like we keep talking about that technology has kind of disrupted every possible area. Where do you see, like for me, economics or areas around economics still stays as the top 20 careers of the future. But where do you see the evolution of economics in the future? If you could just share a few thoughts, please.
No, in fact, economics is becoming increasingly relevant, I'd say, because of major changes in technology. One of the advances of technology is, what you call artificial intelligence, which is, you see, basically the fundamentals that you learn in economics is there's a lot of predictability in human life. People go to sleep at night, wake up in the morning. That's predictable for. But human beings are also in a crucial way unpredictable. Their sense of freedom depends on not being able to, they're not a machine, right? They shouldn't be read like a robot. But what technology has done is it's made us even more predictable in our behavior. What kinds of products do we like? When do we want to buy what kind of food? All of this is there, accumulating this data. So one of the things, of course, that we do have to teach is data analytics, and to be able to, therefore, a whole world has opened up for this kind of skills, and so you have all of these big companies employing economists all around because they have the ability to be able to figure out what is it that's predictable about human behavior and to put their finger on it. Now, this is an old skill in economics. It's not a new one, but it's a skill that can be applied and adapted to new technology and the world as it is now evolved.
Great. Abhik, your point on that, please. Any?
Yeah, I just want to give you an example. I think one of the largest employers of economists in the US is, guess which company? It happens to be Uber, the cab company, because all this thing of surge pricing and you pay less and the Russia, everything is backed by hard economics, and you have people who are largely experts in the area of microeconomics doing all this. So as technology evolves, economics also evolves along with it to address the needs of this new technology. I think Sudarshan talked about big data, consumer behavior modeling. Again, economics steals a march over various other disciplines, which I think I just wanted to point out one area which we, in terms of job options, especially since I'm in the Gurgaon area, and this is one sort of domain in which there used to be jobs galore before COVID happened, is the area of analytics and business and data and analytics. I mean, that's one area which, for an economics undergraduate with a good training in econometrics and data analysis, is an obvious fit. And I think that there is a very
Right.
large employer pool in the national capital region, also in Pune and various Bangalore, for this skill. This could either be a standalone analytics company, or it could be the back office or the analytics support end of an investment bank, or it could be for a consulting company. So again, so this sort of addresses two issues: the evolution of technology and the jobs that are being created along with it. And these jobs are there for you to see. It's not some fancy job in Sacramento, California. It's a job that's going in Gurgaon, and which is being sort of actively advertised, or outside Mumbai or Pune or wherever you live. So I mean, that's one thing that I wanted to sort of highlight. And I see a whole bunch of kids going into the analytics area.
Great, great. Thank you so much. Vaishnavi, I hope you are done with your questions. Oh, great. Okay, great. I would just take one last question. It is already 10 minutes past 8, but let me tell you the interest of the students right now. We still have, for our panelists, we still have 209. It's dropped to 208. We still have 208 students listening to us even after 1 hour and 10 minutes. Thank you so much for your inputs here. All right, students. There's Anjali asked us one question, that what 1 second, I'm just picking up, what's the scope of behavioral economics in future? All right, if any one of you wants to take it, or if both of you want to take maybe a line on each, or whatever, your thing.
Behavioral economics has now come into the regular curriculum of economics. Abhik and I did economics in the Delhi school, or in my undergraduate years. The subject didn't exist. It's a merger of insights from psychology that help understand economic behavior.
Great.
And a Nobel laureate is there, honored for that fusion of these insights. So behavioral economics has now become, just as you study international trade, microeconomics, public finance, behavioral economics has become part of the standard curriculum.
Thank you. Abhik, anything from your side? I think, Vaishnavi, can you hear me?
Yes. I was on mute.
Okay. I think his screen seems to be frozen right now.
Yes.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Maybe once he's back, we'll take that. Students, thank you so much for being there. And I just want to sum it up by thanking our esteemed guests, Professor Sudarshan, as well as Avik, from universities, OP Jindal, Bin Munjal, great academicians, and with the kind of knowledge and experience, we are delighted to have them here. And I hope it's been an informative session for you. You picked it up. Will be sharing their email IDs. I mean, meaning the admission email IDs. And if you want to write to us about them, or you want to reach out to the universities, please feel free. Do some research. If at any point of what is Mindler trying to do by bringing you these webinars is we are trying so that one, spread awareness, get these visionaries and academicians to talk to you so that you become wiser and you're able to make critical career choices. That's one. Second, if at any point of time you want to talk to us about your career choices, you want to reach out to us to help you make these career choices, because I can see, my God, the speed at which you're asking questions, I think I need an entire bot, the battery to respond to your questions. If at any point of time you want any of us to be your coach, mentor, guide you, please feel free to reach out to Mindler. Thank you so much, Pooja. Yes, it's been an amazing session. And I wish when I was growing up, when I was in 12th class, I had Sudarshan Arabic to talk to me about economics. I would have done much better in economics. Thank you so much. We are delighted. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, our team has already posted our email ID, which is hello@mindler.com. You can reach out to us. We'll be happy to help and solve all your queries. Thank you so much, all the panelists. We'll come back soon with the next webinar. You'll be posted.
Please remember, at Mindler, the only thing that keeps us going is you students. We want to reach out to you and make sure you make informed decisions, amazing career choices, because the country depends on you. The youth has to take us forward. All right. Thank you so much, Professor Sudarshan. It's been brilliant having you here. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.